So, let's get to the light. It is Kingzone DragonX versus IG. It's the final day of Rift Rivals. And I think we should linger on the light because finally the LCK living in the light. Been a very long time since the LCK's last international result. You're thinking all the way back to Worlds 2017. A lot has changed since then. The meta has changed. The power rankings have changed. Two regions have been very realistically power ranked above Korea, over the course of those 2 years. And also, NA had a better international result than Korea, which, I'm willing to sit here and be like, well, shake my fist and say something about the power ranking of NA above Korea. It doesn't make that much sense, but it makes more than no sense, right? So that's kind of the thing there, is that at the end of the day, Korea's finally been in a slump. Long time coming. And Rift Rivals doesn't get them out of a slump, Like, Rift Rivals is a tournament that means only... We only know what Rift Rivals means in hindsight. Like, the LPL winning Rift Rivals in 2017 at the time, it was scoffed at by most global fans, LCK fans, myself. It was like, well, what does that tournament even mean? But then ended up being the start of a wonderful run for them, Worlds 2017 excluded. And we only knew that afterwards. And I think for this Rift Rivals, you could tell that both teams were playing super hard to win, right? So it's not about the competitive integrity. It's just the tournament doesn't really serve, to me, a purpose apart from, okay, what about a pop quiz? Where are you guys at in terms of your meta read? Does it make sense based on some competition, or does it not? Like, that's kind of what you learn from Rift Rivals. And also, is what you're doing going to work, moving forward? So that pop quiz, I think Rift Rivals does serve a really big kind of tool. And I think it's a reminder to the LPL that just coasting on the fact that the meta has suited them in terms of, first, the bot lane focus being very Uzi complementary into turret plates in early game. Like, the phases in which the LPL were the best at are supported the most by the patches in the last year and a half. And just that reality isn't enough to just mean that you're the best forever. And so it's definitely a wake-up call to the LPL that the LCK is here to play. So for LCK fans, it's also young teams or new teams on the international stage putting their best foot forward. But connected to that, some hope. Like, I was around, like, all the stuff, like walking off the casting desk onto the area around the stage as everyone's lifting the trophy and stuff. Like, there were tears. G-Sun was in tears. The analyst desk was very moved. Like, this was not just Korea winning another tournament. This was a region that was down for multiple tournaments and months and years in a row, needing a win and needing to see that their region could be competitive, because most of the recent examples weren't that, Like, it was always the LCK is outdated. They're the dinosaur, and let's move along and leave the LCK in the trash. And so there needed to be a statement, and the LCK would have lost a lot if they didn't win Rift Rivals. So it is a really important win for Korea. But it shouldn't inflate them on a world ranking stage by too much. And it shouldn't be a pin in other regions. Like, the LPL is not now trash because the LCK won Rift Rivals. There's good reasons the LPL didn't win in terms of patch prep and being 2 patches behind, in terms of some of the young teams that haven't necessarily been fantastic in summer. Like, TOP and JG were pretty awful in this tournament. IG came in without using their Worlds roster since MSI. There are plenty of asterisks. So I don't think you can be LPL bombed out of Rift Rivals, therefore LPL is bad. But on the other side, the LCK coming in with some newer teams that did play up and did play positive and did address some meta problems we see in the LCK. Like, we saw, I would say, 3 out of 4, maybe all 4 teams play better at an international tournament than they play domestically. And that was really good to see from the LCK. Zooming in on kind of the two teams that we're going to look at, Kingzone versus IG. A point I wanted to draw attention to is a point that I've talked about a lot for a long time now, combined kills per minute. If you look at an average Kingzone game, there is an average 11.7 kills, 11.4 deaths. So pretty bloody. I'd say pretty equal kills and deaths. So they're not playing super clean games. If you add those numbers together, you get 23.1. That means in an average game, they get 23.1 kills and deaths together. The games go 32 minutes 17. You can do some quick maths and see that we're talking about like 0.7 kills, combined kills per minute. And famously, IG coming into Rift Rivals had like 1.1 or something like that. And coming into Worlds had around similar numbers. Very, very bloody team. Just like G2, the teams who have been talking as super good in the world. And you look at IG, 29.7, 13.4 kills, 16.3 deaths. You'll notice it's overall negative, but IG had a lot of losses with different rosters. So you add that together, 29.7. So we're talking about kill a minute. So you can tell that LCK-wise, even though Kingzone was seen as one of our proactive teams that do actually do things in the early game, it wasn't reflected in how many combined kills there were in games like it is in the LPLs. The LPL will almost always find a stat like this, around 1 combined kills per minute. So you would have assumed there would be a pretty big styles clash for the LCK coming into Rift Rivals, where they would be kind of taken advantage of in the early game when the turret plates are there, when IG is on the red side and able to look to counter picks. And that was something that the LCK had to answer is, all right, you guys don't skirmish as much, you don't fight as much. You didn't do it at Worlds, it cost you. Didn't do it at MSI, it cost you. What's happening at Rift Rivals 2019 was something we wanted to return to. If you watched our first review of the day or you're an NA fan, we're on patch 9.13 with Mordekaiser and Kiana disabled. As far as I know, these champions will still be disabled tomorrow when the LCK picks up again, but I don't have the final confirmation on that. I'm a bit louder than I'd like to be in this. Let's make me quieter. Oh. Oh, No, too much Papa. Give me less Papa. This caster sucks. All right, there we go. That'll be good enough. And then we look over the draft. We'll get through the first round to have a look at it. All right, so first round is done. Red side bans ultra conservative from IG. They ban away Karma, Yuumi, Sejuani. We saw this for the entire basic week of patch 9.13 in Korea as the standard red side bans. The only surprise for this patch or for this particular tournament is the Sejuani ban. In Rift Rivals 2019, Sylas Jungle has emerged as an easy answer to Sejuani, but because the Sylas Jungle was banned on blue side, that's why we see the resulting Sejuani ban. So with the context of looking to the left of the screen, the Sejuani ban makes sense. That's been seen as the answers in Korea and the Asian Rift Rivals in general. Jungle Sylas versus Sejuani has been the happy choice compared to, say, Trundle that we just saw in our first review of the day. The champion that really... The pick ban here is actually pretty influenced by Kingzone. When I was speaking to Dongjun, one of the Korean analysts, he and I both agreed that Nico coming into this draft was the most important pick. It's a ultra comfort for Neon. They often take it red side around Ning's pick in order to get something for Neon if all other things fail. But it's also the pick the Shy split pushed SKT to death on, and the one of Rookie's happy picks. So we thought it would be first pick Nico from Kingzone, but ended up being a Nico ban. You ban Lux, enemy team has to ban Yuumi. That's the responding ban you get in that scenario. You ban Sylas, it draws Sejuani. So actually, Kingzone were able to influence the direction of the draft. And when you first pick Tahm Kench as an LCK team, you're screaming, Sona! Really, really loud, which is kind of a interesting kind of situation, given that Sona doesn't talk. But, you know, at the end of the day, you see Tahm Kench, and these two picks here have to respect Sona being picked up on the side of Kingzone. They take Kai'Sa looking for a hard crowd control lane. If we saw Sona here, we might have seen Nautilus attempted, as Nautilus is seen as a support to try to make the Sona accountable. But Kai'Sa as an ultra fallback for Jackie Love, and then Aatrox potentially against Sona teamfights. And actually in the last week of the LCK, Sona teamfight comps were losing to Aatrox teamfight comps because there's no Taric to make the Aatrox ult kind of a little bit less relevant. But Kingzone adjusted. They went in Ezreal, Camille, and as the draft goes on, I want to talk about this draft holistically because kind of hit on it during the cast, but this is a risky draft from Kingzone. Camille top has been a big LCK pick. You'll notice the Fiora coverage ban, the shy favorite. He got in trouble with his coach, and his coach potentially left Invictus Gaming because of the Fiora draft during the quarterfinals at Worlds. And the Vladimir because Kingzone are thinking about team fights. Blind Azir with Corki open is always going to draw a Corki answer from Korean teams. But let's just talk about it holistically. You pause the draft here when this Renekton pick is locked in. And this feels like a lost at draft for Kingzone. We mentioned it during pick ban, but this draft from Kingzone is really, really risky. Now, the reasons for that are your Tahm Kench is paired with an Ezreal, usually just a let's play topside draft, a super safe farming lane for the side of the Ezreal Tahm Kench. That's what usually it's picked for. Like we'll see Dumb1 Gaming pick this, farm out, be a little bit behind in CS, but whatever. Gold cost is pretty low. You can get through most hard lanes. Now, Kai'Sa Braum doesn't apply the most pressure, but it can still farm out pretty easily against Ezreal Tahm. So Kai'Sa's getting a free lane against Ezreal. A lot of Ezreal's peter out coming into the mid game. Camille blind pick has already been criticized at this tournament. We talked about how SKT's draft against IG gave very few options for Khan to get through the lane because Nico's such a strong answer into it. Camille's also an ultra strong champion into the Camille. You win trades for a lot of the game as Renekton versus Camille, and that's where the shy goes with the Nico banned out, the Fiora banned out, and the Vladimir banned out. So they had to use their entire second round ban phase to get cover for this Camille, and there was still plenty of strong champions into Camille left open. Then the Azir is taken, and while Corki started off as kind of a Azir farm lane into outscale matchup for the Corki, and if you're wondering how Corki works against Azir, it's general safe champion, so you farm out, and maybe you have to flash over a Azir Sec or Shreema Shuffle play, because you can't W over that. But you farm out. In team fights, you outrange Azir. There's not many champions that outrange Azir, but champions that function well against Azir are the ones that outrange. So Xerath, for example, has been a BDD favorite, and the Shreema lane was actually a very meta 2015 spring matchup, Azir versus Xerath every game. So once you get rockets, especially to level 11 and a couple of items, you just outrange Azir at all times. You're never in threat range, so that's why people love Corki into Azir. It's generally safe, and then you outrange. Recently, during laning phase, some Azirs have been able to actually turn around that matchup and win it. There was an interview with, I believe, Neon on the first day of this tournament. He played the other side of the matchup and won pretty hard going lethal tempo Corki. You can also go lethal tempo Azir. You can go electrocute Azir as well and just take burst trades and invade around it. And that ends up being the call from Rookie. And then it's Karthus jungle. And yes, you've freed yourself up to not have to gank bot side because you went a Tahm Kench lane. But you've got definite losing lane, often losing pressure lane early, and a farming jungler that really wants to be aggressively skirmishing with backup and not being invaded and trying to hit Skittles on an opponent coming to him. If you're going towards the enemy trying to hit Qs, that's fine. If they're invading hard on you with priority, then Karthus can just be forced out of jungle. So this felt like a super lost at draft game if it wasn't played really well. It's a super risky draft to take. As the game goes on, and we'll compare it to C9's draft, well, yes, you have great siege, Ezreal Corki, but one single target disengage, probably a losing side lane, and then ult to send from downtown. Your face checker, well, it's Tahm Kench only. No one else here can face check unless Tahm Kench is there also to devour. So from behind, this draft gets run over pretty simply. IG have a super strong teamfight comp where the only kind of worry as the game goes on is that Camille can split push Renekton at kind of 3-4 items. You looked at 1 combined kill per minute games. Like, the chance of that happening and Renekton not getting ahead when the Shy got counterpick is pretty low. So it's pretty risky here. It really is pretty risky for Kingzone to draft like this. And I was very concerned coming into this because Kingzone had come in pretty kind of indifferent form to this tournament. And I saw this draft as a potential kind of super risky one by them. Like, the Lost at Draft Game 1 Reddit thread was already built, and in a parallel universe, and I would say more than 50% of parallel universes, it was posted. It's really hard to execute comp from the side of Kingzone. IG have strong lanes. They've got counterpick on the top side and very competitive lanes at minimum the sides. Ning can get going in a game like this. The Karthus has very little synergy in terms of team fighting because he likes other AoE abilities for him to mop up, or he can just start off with a strong ult and make good things happen. Instead, his ult is really only useful for poke. If you Ezreal Corki poke, Karthus can get the kill on someone as a siege. So using him more like AP Gragas in Season 1 to zone people away from turrets, more so than team fight Karthus like we see in other games. So Karthus himself gets no leash, but needs no leash. He's going to start in his red camp. I'm looking forward to looking at the minimap a lot more in these VOD reviews, because the last 2 are games that I cast. There's definitely some minimap shenanigans that will be interesting. Karthus gets a very easy bot side clear. I'd say the only surprise from IG is they didn't look for a ward on the enemy blue buff. You should be looking to try to threaten 3 buff or keeping tabs on Karthus, so it's actually pretty shallow vision from the side of IG. So Ning has gone much more safety first on the first clear than you would assume. Like, this just feels like a game where, as Aatrox, you're at a buff that the Karthus has taken, but you didn't have full information on which buff the start was on. When you see this, so going all the way back, when you see the duo lane camping forward brush, if it's a jungler that usually gets a leash, you can assume at this point that Karthus is starting top side. You don't see Camille. We know Camille's in the top side. But the fact that Camille shows on lane, it can be either buff started by Cuz. Again, usually if you're camping lane, you got no duo help, therefore you're starting top side. That's not the case here. So Cuz kind of plays a gamble. He smites his first camp to get red. He actually used his smite on the red buff to get a bit more speed there. But this ambiguity is only possible because IG have no forward wards of the map. So Cuz getting a full clear is actually more than I would have assumed based on the drafts and even Ning's reputation, because he's not a full clear jungler most of the time. And it's not like Aatrox needs a full clear in order to come online. I think just IG really had no idea what Cuz was pathing around this game, and also the jungle speed of the Karthus, because there's very little Karthus in the LPL. They only would have played against it in scrims. And so they just ended up being very defensive. Like, there's a lot of priority from the Shy top side when the Scuttle Crab is happening. He could have left lane at any point to make this happen, but it's only when they spot bot side Scuttle and fully push in that the Shy finally walks over and gets the bad news. So the speed of Cuz's path and also just the camps he did in order were not in any way prepped for by IG. And it just feels like they look uncomfortable playing against the jungle Karthus. There's 2 jungle Karthus wins of the 3 that are pulled off by the team of Kingzone, a team of the LCK in this particular final day. And while it's not as stark as this tournament, especially our LPL longtime fans, but even just longtime fans will remember the tournament where Team WE went to the tournament and they'd never played against a Morgana support. And you saw Wei Zhao and other great teams just have no idea of how to play against Morgana support. I think it was actually Lemon Nation on Cloud9 playing the Morgana among other people at that tournament. And while I don't think it's that bad against the Karthus this game, with the lanes around it, with what should have been a very kind of multi-point plan around let's dominate this Karthus, I feel like Karthus got away with a really, really safe farming phase. Like, I'm very surprised he got such an easy farm off. Control ward's come down. Double control ward against Karthus jungle, usually farming, is good to see, at least from the side of IG. Not all the control ward spots have been good from the teams this tournament. Nayan, so awkward, right? He's already used his teleport to get back and buy a cull. He doesn't have package till 8 minutes, so he's got no priority there. But what's happening around moments like this? Like, when you see things like this, grouped minion wave threatening a dive, you have basically every option as Ning. He's seen clearing a ward, but he can walk up and take any camps in the bot side. Well, bad news. They didn't actually... stuff like this is very interesting because the full clear bot side just means that Karthus has already cleared his camps when this group minion wave comes in. So there's not even punishment camps on the bot side for Aatrox. He should know that. Like, it's very likely that Cuz is already power clear and he can count CS. You would think that Ning would invade with Rookie top side here to contest the 2 camps that Karthus has had respawned. Instead, he gets in position toward the red, or maybe, I guess, go to bot side. But I think the pathing from Ning here is pretty incorrect against a Karthus. Because look at the lane state at bot that you're trying to make a turret dive play around. Like, it's just not going to happen there. So Ning was not fantastic in this Rift Rivals. I think this is a game where his map read was pretty off. He was spotted bot side, so even Rascal can try to take some good trades against Renekton. But going to get a Drake from it. That part should be easy for the side of IG. They teleport back. There's an answering teleport. It's going to be too late. Ward over the wall is quite late. So during this, Tucson puts a control ward over the wall, but the Drake's already pretty low. You'll often see Korean teams placing a ward if they're blue side behind the Drake wall around 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes to stop a jungler soloing it down at 5 minutes. The ward is only put in as a reaction here, and Cuz is going to get some camps top side, but there's no other punishment available. So that's a good Drake take by IG. They still find something, but I must admit, my eyes are just like zooming in on the Karthus farm and wondering how you can draft pretty brazenly, like losing top lane, pre-6 losing priority lane in the mid lane, and seeing IG, you know, at the end of the day, not having punished the Karthus at all. I think Ning, if he had a chance to review this game and really think about pathing against Karthus, would be way better second, third time out, but it's actually pretty poor for me, a performance from him. Still, Ninja Tabi means winning trades topside. Azir feeling good in the mid lane. No big completed item yet for Nayan. He does hit 8 minutes, though, so the package available was happy for him. LPL doesn't play Karthus with any reliability, no, to answer your question. What do we think? I need to ask chat on this, because I wondered, I'd rationalize this during the cast. So, Azir reached maybe one half Teemo further. Can you see around the corner and see the Karthus? I know the vision around here, you can't see this, but there, my first assumption was that you could, but then the fact that Rookie just gives it up so early made me think that, yeah, I find this really weird. I know that here, you can't see here. Do we think that there, you can see the Karthus? I can't decide this. If anyone goes into a practice game and can tweet, no, you can't. I tested. I'm gonna trust Azruli 312 here. I think he was literally like a third of a teamer. You know, like 2/3 of teamers whistle away from being able to see the Karthus, but didn't see him. Otherwise, you would have just at least put down soldiers and hit him. You might not have gone for an ult play, but I think if you see him, you WQR, and that should do 400 health of Squishy Karthus. So surely you don't see him. Like, for the sake of the cast, we have to assume that the vision isn't there, because otherwise it's such a weird play. What happened around back timings in bot lane? So we were focused on that play. So Deft and Tucson actually poke out Jackie Love and Baolan. When did the trade start? Oh, it was here. Big health bar lead here. And with jungler showing topside, IGF take a terrible back. Like, this is a terrible back timing, right? You're going to lose at minimum 2 turret plates. They're going to get 2 turret plates, and you get the most alpha recall spot for an Ezreal ever. He cancelled it. He decides to stay because he's not actually going to get the turret plate fast enough. But he can even push in the greedy minion wave, which is what that minion wave, the extra one, usually is. And just not care. 500 gold lead already for Deft in the bot lane. So I'm going to give Rookie the benefit of the doubt and also trust the one guy in chat that you couldn't see the Karthus there because you just would have tried something. He didn't do anything. Neon pushing up in mid because Rookie was on a roam. He hasn't been able to dominate the CS as much. Like, this is insane. Like, to pause the game at 10 minutes and see 1 turret plate mid, 2 turret plates bot, and a turret plate advantage overall to Kingzone is like almost unfathomable. Most of the time, Jackie Love and Baolan won't be forced out of lane at a bad timing after TP is down, where their jungler is showing. They don't get a lead in the top side from it, and only a single turret play for the Renekton in a really winning matchup is what Kingzone lost in the early game. Meanwhile, they have a, 3-4 camp lead on their jungler, who should have been counter jungled. Like, this ended up being a really calm early game for Kingzone. And they have the same sort of mid game we talked about with Cloud9 in the previous game, where their siege is really scary. Corki Ezreal siege with Karthus ult is pretty huge. Q hit from Deft, that's why they ult. 1 minute late on that one. I wonder if you ask a Karthus player, is getting a stopwatch on a lane you want to play through worth it for your ult? I'm guessing probably not. This is really bad from Rascal. Consider the tail of the tape here. Cuz goes bot lane, makes the gank. Renekton has lane control 100% of the time, so knows to group up the minion wave and have it crash as Aatrox can actually get in position to come through. Rascal can leave at the lane at this point. The minion wave's not there yet. You can leave the lane happily. Instead, he stays. He even has teleport here and then thinks he has time to put down a ward. When Ning, if he's not bot lane to counter gank, is always top. Like, this is a really poor map read from Rascal, who's been good on this more often than not. The only thing he gets from sticking around is that Deft can stay in lane and push longer, but he shouldn't die there, I think, Rascal, almost ever. Cuz has to go top side and put down Wall of Pain just to stop the turret going down. So I know people in the Twitch chat were like lulling about this Karthus gank, but that was just keeping the turret up. TFT Nightmare. They have priority top, so they should be able to start Rift Herald whenever they want. The reason why they don't, I think, is because TPs were offset and there's no map control bot side. I think Jackie Love probably made the call, I want a TP bot. And speaking of TP bot, we do get the confirmation there. So the call here, I'm guessing, is Jackie Love saying, I'm going to lose turret if I don't go back bot lane. So back off the Rift Herald and be in position. And that's what happens from Jackie Love. He TP's down bot lane. They don't want to give up Ocean. They don't care about the Rift Herald start. They're going to always get a kill here. But Tucson does what the true supports do, right? He just positions himself to invite all the aggro. He goes down. It's only a single kill for a teleport investment. And that means that the Shy will have a period where he has a TP disadvantage against Camille. And it also means that Camille gets to push in the minion wave and keep top lane laning phase alive. So at the end of the day, the punishment onto Kingzone here is pretty limited. It's just a single kill. And IG definitely need to take more from it to make it worth it. With Ezreal just freshly shopped, though, it's not that easy. I get it. After that's worth it for sure, as your level 1 ult doesn't do much damage. Okay, that's a pretty good opinion from a Karthus player. Traded turrets. Solo gold for the Shy, but does end up being second turret kill. Still at an item timing where it sucks to be Corki versus Azir. You need that first shop. The level 11 is good, but the item timing isn't good enough yet. Like, the Trinity Force is important for burst trades. Yeah, so we pause the game at 15. Or 1450 as it is. Like, this gold total is insane for me. Because I say, in huge winning lane, priority early, invading jungler against a skirmishing jungler that's much better at skirmishing aggressively rather than defensively. Even bot lane, where I think most of the time I take the Kai'Sa Braum in trades. Ezreal Tam is usually more safe ebb than anything, and they have no jungle presence because their jungler is a Karthus. Meanwhile, Ning has a lot of jungle presence as Aatrox. And yet, for it to be equal gold means that Kingzone actually have a real chance to fight in the mid game. If this is 3,000 gold lead to the LPL, I don't think Kingzone can ever come back, even though they have some mid game spikes at 2 to 3 items. But in an even gold game, kind of anything can happen, right? And timing here this is actually pretty poor on the communication side from Kingzone. You'll notice that Rascal gets queued out of his E, but I guess pre-buffered his ultimate. He's so deep with no real backup in the front line. Right? He doesn't have a Tahm Kench Devour on top of him or anything like that. So this just looked like it would be a domination from IG. Still a win. Jackie Love really outplays Neon at the top side because Kingzone can't fight as a squad at all. Tucson devours out the third kill that would have been big, but the moment that Rascal committed to it and Ard, they could have just let it be a 1-for-0. Instead, they kind of put in too much. Let's watch this one slow motion. Let's watch this. Rookie's at what? 650 health? 700 health? 550 health. Let's watch this. So, IG have already won it. Let's watch how the backside of this plays out. So, Rookie's saying, I got everything up still. We can get a kill here. And the Shy has on command stun. They're aware of this one the entire time. Deft was really aware of it. Oh. Clean from Deft. He opened up space when he needed to. He outplayed there. He's aware of the Void Seeker afterwards to move away. That's Deft. First half of this fight is, again, Kingzone going too far. That part's fine. The play on the turret dive is super good. Like, every member of Kingzone does exactly the right thing. And while Tucson dies, plays under the turret well, gets away from minion angle, doesn't jump into Prey Seeker. Void Seeker. I'm pretty sure it's Void Seeker. That was really nicely done from Kingzone. And that's why you have a 1,400 gold lead for the Ezreal. I had a chat with Tucson in the after party, and I asked him about this game. I was like, wow, like, Deft has no domestic MVPs. And then he puts in a performance like this, and he said, yeah, to be honest, Deft wanted to get revenge against IG after losing to them at in the quarterfinals, and get revenge against Jackie Loves. So this definitely was a personal game for Deft. If anyone's watched the LCK, Deft has been good, but hasn't had to be a hard carry. But like, this is the EDG Deft raid boss, you know, Samsung Blue Deft raid boss game. So definitely not one of those, like, sometimes players say things and you're like, okay, you're just coming up with convenient logic, but definitely Deft was mad coming into this game. And he called for basically every part of the draft. Like, apparently Tucson was saying, like, Deft was super active on comms because he was very motivated to win this game. And obviously Deft is usually a quiet voice. So why do they want a team fight? Let's have a look at the items that might dictate this. So Kingzone are out of position on Rift Herald here. So let's look at the item timings where this happens. Trinity Force, good for poking against Azir, but Azir in a team fight has some options. 2-item Kai'Sa with just a Q evolve, but not great in team fights because not a lot of attack speed. No E evolve in this build. You need the Stinger first. Deft is really strong. He's kind of the important note here is that Deft is super strong. Meanwhile, Trinity Force is okay. Karthus is okay, but I would say behind overall effective items. And Renekton's way ahead of the Camille. Now, worth noting, mostly a 1v1 build, but the only reason to overforce this fight is that you really think that Ezreal is super powerful. But they TP in instantly. Like, Camille TPs instantly when they get the health bar number. And that means they have to fight because they've already lost the Rift Herald. Now, the only other fallback thing is it gives them position on mid lane, but I think Kingzone, like, their first 2 team fight forces here are not great. Like, that one is super forced. And Kingzone kind of get rewarded for a bad teleport because Deft is saying, I'm really powerful, and he is. Q, Tongue Lash, EQ auto, Q auto, kills Aatrox. And Aatrox is not small in this game. Like, watch this. Aatrox comes in at 1,600 health. The only thing extra here is the Q from Tucson, and they kill him. Oh. Where did this Q come from? I missed the Q that killed on the back end. Let's watch Kaz's Q. Oh, he just sniped him. He was going for both and got full damage on Braum. If it was a shared Q, it wouldn't have got the kill. Yeah, it was the full damage and also the Luden's proc. Wow. And the rune. Good point. This is so sick. Let's watch the second kill of this fight. The Rascal flank here is super good because they can actually force. And he... Oh, this is cool. I didn't even notice this on the first time I cast it. Watch how Rascal engages this. He forces it, and it forces it super hard. Because if you watch on the right side, as he's coming in, which is as the turret is dying, so already perfect, he comes in with walking around the corner, hookshot over the wall, cancels it into a flash to stop Azir from flashing as a response. That's actually super consequential because it means that Azir can't draw the Rascal into the turret, and it's why he doesn't draw turret aggro straight away, because he opened up with the animation cancel on the stun. Otherwise, the Rascal would have died for free, basically. He doesn't have a lot of items here. Let's watch the Q. So that's Dark Harvest 1, and then 285 damage with Luden's proc, or I should say Runic Echo proc, gets the kill. Control ward there, back timing. And now Kingzone are ahead in gold, right? They're ahead in gold at this game. They also have control of the river, which I never would have expected top river control would be on the side of Kingzone. But they have top river control because of stuff like this. Because they're lying in wait, and Deft is not playing Ezreal like your NAEU Ezreal. Like, this happens, and this could be, well, Karthus is hanging back, Camille's pushing out, we don't know where Azir is, we don't know where Renekton is, Corki's pushing bot lane. Just be defensive. You went Ezreal Tahm Kench for a reason. The reason they went Ezreal Tahm Kench was for Deft to be a raid boss. He sees Baolan in a control ward, he EQs in instantly, and then just refuses to hit any miss any skill shots. Wow. I love Ezreal Tahm Kench, where the Ezreal player says, oh, I have a Tahm Kench, now I can kill them more. That was epic. Because like, they get vision control and more deep vision because Deft is so strong. And then they also use the control they got to taxi through the enemy jungle. Like, pause here. Deft hitting those Qs means this happens. If Deft just goes and be scared with his tail behind his leg under his turret while Baolan gets that ward, there's a red ward here. Instead, the control ward is there. They have 4 control wards patrolling the Baron and Roam top lane area. That rookie's going to be first to. And Renekton's bot side with TP, but no great TP wards except for this one here. He couldn't respond to this area, for example. So Deft hitting all of those Qs is why he has a naked vision tri-brush to walk through as the rookie play starts. See? Kingzone, with 2 ultra squishies who usually have to run straight down the river because they're scared of dying, can arcane shift over the wall and just catch Rookie and Ning way out of position. Because of the pressure Deft created from his Q accuracy, they get the kill. The teleport comes in. Now, Deft goes way too far up, let's be clear. He's like trying to proxy minion waves because he's feeling himself, as we said. Karthus Corki, man, doing a lot of damage. And you would think it's just 280 carries inting and the play is over. But remember what Kingzone laid as they made the roam top lane. They laid all of the vision, and that's something IG are very priced into defending, right? They have to defend vision. The vision gets Ning this time, and Ning was the person who got poked out the first time. And they just get styled on. Plays like this are so straightforward when you have vision. Consider both the points that happen here. At this point, Rascal goes in because Ning's half health. He feels that his damage is enough, and he knows there can be no reaction because Jackie Love is dead, Rookie is dead, and the other 2 people are under turrets. So, 1v1, I'm stronger than him, I'll get the kill. Good play by Rascal. The vision control ward here is the reason that's possible. The top lane dive is 3v2, whereas the 2 remaining people are 14-second remaining on the death timer Rookie and Jackie Loves, who's dead, and we already know that Ning is accounted for and can't be there. So with an outnumbered scenario, Karthus just blew up the enemy 80 carry, and they have Tahm Kench if they want to reset turret aggro. So the forward vision that let them roam so confidently topside after they got poked out people with Deft is also the forward vision that means that Renekton just dies and gives over gold to Corki with a bounty, I believe, under turret. They're going to get Baron from it too. And this whole passage of play is why Kingzone were the team that we on this stream and also Kingzone publicly were talked about as the best Korean team coming into the first 2 weeks of the season. Is their vision is still strong. They've got Tucson and Deft, who are very experience about the game. They're smart about their vision plays. Rascal and Cuz trained under Prey and Gorilla, under the Longzhu and Kingzone days, so they understand vision plays really well. It's still LCK vision, but what had separated Kingzone from other teams is they also are willing to skirmish and play aggressively around forward vision. They don't just, like Ships in the Night, get 2 jungle camps on the bot side because they saw you at top jungle. They actually punish you and try to kill you when they get that vision lead. And it's why Kingzone felt really suited to the meta and playing that more hybrid LP or LCK style that we kind of fortunately saw from multiple teams during the Rift Rivals event. Like, a lot of teams from Korea seemed a lot more willing to flex when the right vision was there to flex. And that's what Kingzone do here with the vision play. So IG tripping on vision gets an insanely massive momentum swing. Because think back to all the way before. $36.4, 14.9, 1,500 gold lead. Good lead. Then you zoom forward. We're at 2029. When this is all said and done, at 2222, 3,800 gold lead and Baron stats. All from one passage of play around forward vision that was cemented by Deft chunking them out. Like, that's insane. Like, so much of a lead was generated from this. And that's just a pleasure to watch Kingzone play so aggressively around it. Not without flaws, like Deft did down under the turret. But they don't stop. They don't lick their wounds like a cat, you know, after the mistake. They still make proactive plays. And then you get the world's derpiest Rift Herald because it has to be jammed down to try to slow down Baron because it's about to time out. That's such a huge momentum shift. And of all things, the dopey Medjai's rush that Cuz loves. I need to ask him about this. He does this too often. That was 0 stacks Dark Seal to 0 stacks Medjai's is now 16 stack Medjai's. And now, just like we talked about how C9 had a game-closing Baron comp, Corki Ezreal with Tom Kench from this far ahead with Baron is unbelievable. Kingzone have an awful Baron team. They do some damage to it, but they have no one to tank it out of 5 members. But catching people won them the Bazinga maximum. And now suddenly, it doesn't matter how good Renekton is in the 1v1. He has to group. Kai'Sa's wave clear is decent, but not fantastic. It's pretty short range. And already you're tempted to all in here as IG because you're being split by Camille, just like Khan was able to do against Flash Wolves. $12,500, $24,700, $33,400. Yeah, $37,000 for the entire team, and he's done 65% of the enemy team's damage alone. Like, this is a huge amount of damage. His team has 28,000 damage, so he hasn't done that high a percentage of his team. Like, it's like 40%, but he's done a lot. Because the short range is on the enemy side that was supposed to be dunked through laning phase. Oh, Deft. I love stuff like this. I love watching Deft play Ezreal from ahead because this is how he plays Ezreal from ahead. Every arcane shift is for damage and poke. E, play the Ruin King, auto, gets knocked up. Tucson's Devours are not to help them siege better. It's to help Deft be more aggressive, which is super fun to watch. Kuz uses the ult just as a tempo tool. They also have the Ezreal ultimate. They get 2 turrets because of the Karthus ultimate. So really good tempo ult there, being thrown out just to zone people away from structures with an Infernal to fall back to. Like, at the end, it's very much and. Like, everything is falling into place because of the good moves that Kingzone made around the mid-game, you know, at 20 minutes. And the surreal thing is, if Deft was a passive Ezreal player, none of that play happens because they have much more 50-50 vision and they can't make the top lane play. So the player's innate desire to be aggressive, and like we mentioned, Def felt like he had a axe to grind with Jackie Love and IG because of that loss at Worlds. All of that came together with solid macro, with an inkling to play aggressive, and got an almost unassailable lead when they needed it. They needed the win when they got it. Oh. Did you see, by the way? Wait for it. Deft never styles on people. Watch. Just in case you missed it the first 2 times. Wait for it. He got the BM in. He got the scanning for power level BM in. The cute alpaca became the rabbit alpaca in this game. And I gotta admit, rabbit alpaca pretty sexy. And there's no way. Like, IG have a teamfight comp, but they're so far behind in gold so early against a comp that had losing early lanes. And that's what a lost game looks like. And it's a lost best of 1, right? It's not a full representation of Kingzone versus IG in a best of 5. Like, IG were definitely caught off guard by how assertive and aggressive Kingzone played. They didn't know how to play against the Karthus jungle. There was a lot of reasons this game went so decisively to Kingzone, but it's also an international confirmation that Kingzone can play a style that works against the region that the meta shifted towards. Like, the early turret plates, early skirmish meta is an LPL meta, and we already showed you that IG averages combined 1 kill a minute. This is 17 kills in 28 minutes, but also one-way traffic is... Yeah. You should watch this slower. This is a fun fight. Good stopwatch. Roscoe coming from the right-hand side in a control ward, by the way, because this is never warded, apparently. Observer. LCK Observer gets the 25 stacks in there. I don't know if you guys could hear it on crowd, but this on the stream, but this full crowd was lit. Super lit. And the LCK teams were playing a super aggressive, proactive style, so events like this are always really different. Like, World Final is a bit like this. This event's like this. Like, in games like this, in the early game, you talk about win conditions in Champ Select, and you really kind of talk about the direction the game's supposed to go. But then Kingzone put down better wards, and all of our kind of open working out of like, hey, like, this is like a lost to draft game if it goes wrong. The moment they start winning, you just celebrate them, right? Because it's hype and they're winning. It's not really one to return to kind of win conditions on the IG side because they make a lot of mistakes, but it's one of those games where, like, it's so fun to cast. You're just hype. Like, you're just basically a play-by-play in games like this. You're just shouting about how awesome the plays are. And it's really a pleasure to watch Kingzone play so aggressive and show that they have this side to them that we didn't know for sure. Like, Kingzone play this game without burden, and the Alpaca on the top side here just bulldozed IG. Like, he was the MVP by a country mile. Chovy never wins this one. This one is always going to be Deft picking up the MVP here. And as a guy who has no domestic MVPs, it was good to see. Like, Deft was the hard carry for Kingzone in spring season, but in summer, he's kind of been second fiddle to Neon and other players on his team picking up the MVPs. Like, really, really impressive here from him. All right, well, that's game number 1 of our Rift Rivals talk. As you can see, pretty decisive games. Like, there's a couple of things to rewind, but It's really fun to relive, and I really wanted to choose this game. This game ended up getting voted on, but if this game was voted on, I wanted to choose it because at the end of the day, you learn a lot about how games can turn based on one player's good move and how it slid into what the team was doing. The team was warding aggressively really well, but the deft turn onto Baolan that chunked him out and then chunked Ning out and then allowed them to rotate first through control wards literally got them all the kills and the Baron and an unassailable lead in a game that otherwise was looking tricky for them. Like, there was some really good options for IG as the game went on in terms of scaling team fights, but very quickly they didn't matter because of the aggression from Deft. So big shout out to Deft in this game. Played a fantastic one. We're going to take a short break. Going to take a water break, take a sip, come back. We've got one more game left, and it's one we're going to have to rewatch a lot of team fights in slow mode because we've got JDG versus the new kind of heroes, Dumb One Gaming, as the final review of the night. I'm really looking forward to it. So everyone's new favorite team, Dumb One versus JDG, coming on after the break. Gonna play some ads. Be right back. See you guys soon.